to Motormouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra, and this is Dania.
Yes. Hi.
I got it right. So we're here in the beautiful Bagley's Diner, which is inside the Boyertown Museum. And it's summertime. It's a great time to come visit us. We'd love to see you. Museum is open 7 days a week, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And this is one of just many things that you can see here at the museum. Our newest acquisitions are on display in the lobby. Well, one of them we had to move out to make room for our guest cars, but you'll be seeing those on shortly. But we'd love to see you. New cars in the lobby. On Saturday, we open up our carriage factory for visitors, and we usually have a blacksmith up there working away. So lots of really cool things to see and do here this summer.
Any like special events coming up by any?
We do have a couple.
Funny I mentioned that.
Funny you should say that, because it's June, and the end of June on the 30th, that's a Saturday, we're going to have our fourth, I can't believe it, it's the fourth one, our fourth annual food truck fair. It's called the Truck Stops here, and it's going to be from noon to 4 o'clock. So it's a great event. You come to the museum, and it's $5 to get in, and that's a great deal because it gets you into the fair in our parking lot, but it also gets you here in the museum, and that's cheaper than like a normal admission. So you get two for the price of less than
And
one.
there's face painting that day too.
There is. You're going to get
just
your
saw
face
it,
painted.
right?
Yeah, he's cheating. We've got a cheat sheet here.
Yeah, but it's upside down. Makes it a little
That is
difficult.
talented of you that you were able to do that. We've got, this year we're going to have like a kids zone in the parking lot. And those activities are included with that $5. So you don't have to pay any extra for the kids events. And one of those things is the face painting. And also, we're going to have a bubble show, giant bubbles going on. We're going to have chalk. Kids can draw in the parking lot and do some artwork. Balloon art, the balloon twisting, balloon animals, that'll be there too. We're going to have blacksmithing. If you were at the event last year, he blacksmithed in the lot with the food trucks. We actually don't even have room for him to do that this year. He's going to be back in the carriage factory, but we will have our blacksmith here. And we've got about 12 different food trucks or stands. I include a few stands in that'll be out in the parking lot. The most popular ones tend to be, it seems, Sly Fox Beer, Pottstown business. We love having them there. And Mr. Softy. And he comes in a Boyertown built Mr. Softy truck, which is a cool bit of history. So we hope to see you on June 30th. It's rain or shine. We will have some tents up, but we hope we don't need them, except for shade maybe.
Right.
We hope we don't need them for rain. So we look forward to seeing you all there. It's June 30th. And also we're coming up, I said we're open 7 days a week, and we are, but we are coming up on a holiday, July 4th. We will be closed July 4th, but we're open the day before and after. So if you have people coming in for the holiday, we'll be here. We'll be open. So
I thought you were going to say, we're open 7 days a week and we're changing it to 8 days a week now.
they would probably try that if we could.
Yeah.
I can't find that 8th day though.
Yeah.
I need 8 days a week though.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people do.
mm-hmm.
So we're going to a couple of shows too this summer. If you want more information on that, you can always visit our website, www.boyertownmuseum.org, or visit the museum's Facebook page. We put all this stuff up there with events and where we're going to be, where you can go find us. So check us out there and keep up to date.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good for now here at the museum. We got a lot to do tonight, I think, don't we?
We do.
So I guess we better get started.
Yeah, it's all cool stuff too.
It better be.
It always is.
All right, I think we're actually going to pick up and move out of the diner. So
Yes,
we have
we
a
are.
visual aid out,
Visual
out
aid,
there.
yes.
So we'll catch you in just a minute. This is the only car I've ever felt tall in.
Wow.
I feel like I'm going to hit my head up here.
Yeah, you are.
I feel very tall in
You're
here.
taller than I am.
Yeah. It's magic.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the museum's Model T Touring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we looked at this before, way back on a show.
Probably. There's a lot of interesting things to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I came across something. And I'm using this as a demonstration vehicle, okay? A museum volunteer emailed me a page out of an old magazine, 1919. It was Matt.
1919.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had some new accessories for cars, and he pointed out one thing, and it had something else on there, but it was the third thing that caught my eye, and it's about horns. And so I used this vehicle because we got two horns right here. Neither one of them are correct for this car, okay? But, you know, makes a good visual, and we don't have to go roaming around looking for the right horn, right?
Right.
Right, okay.
Right.
So, we're gonna learn about horns today. I know
Right.
they tuned in just to learn about horns. Now, I have to say, 2 days ago I was in New York City and I figured, hey, this is great. I'm going to hear all these horns. But actually, it was kind of quiet. It must have been a
Really?
quiet day for horns.
Oh, people were driving politely that day.
Oh yeah, right. New York City politely. I don't think so. So anyway, several different horns. You have the bulb horn here, as you can see. You know, you squeeze the bulb, and you know. And are you going to do
I'm
it?
scared to squeeze.
Go ahead, do it.
That was anticlimactic, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
It didn't work. Okay, right. Okay, so when you squeeze this rubber ball or rubber bulb, you know, air goes through here, and then somewhere in here, or maybe it's up here.
I think it's up here.
Yeah, it's up here. I'm sorry. There's a steel reed, and it vibrates when the air goes through it, and it produces a single note, and it goes here, around the round, comes out there. Okay, it's amplified so you can hear it. And so that was early type of horn. I'm assuming they had these in horse-drawn carriages too. You think so?
I don't know, because I don't think the horses liked it too much.
Also, horse-drawn stuff was quiet enough you could just yell.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't going that fast.
No, well,
probably,
that
either.
too, yeah. So, another kind of, well, this isn't really a horn, but another type of noise to make other people aware. You had the exhaust whistle, and being a whistle that's in your exhaust pipe, there's a valve you could hit with your foot. It would open up and just make this loud whistling sound from your exhaust. That was loud. I've heard them in the past. Hand-operated klaxon horn. That's what this is right here. And there's this valve right here, and I'm going to let you push this. Okay, kind of loud. And she was gentle with it.
I was.
Yes, you are a gentle
was
person.
nice.
Yes. Okay, so you push this plunger for the sound, reproduced by a spring steel diaphragm with a rivet in its center. It's repeatedly struck by teeth of a rotating cogwheel. I didn't even know any of this until the other night.
It really makes you want to take it apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, not really. The diaphragm's connected to the horn. It acts as an acoustic transformer, so it makes it louder here. Then from here, they went to a motor-driven one, which was electric, of course, and you know, you'd push a button or whatever, and it would get the motor going, and so on and so forth. Now, here's something interesting. Here's a little factoid. This might be on the test, okay? The name klaxon, spelled Klaxon, is from the ancient Greek verb klazo, meaning I shriek. Huh?
I like it.
You like that?
That's
I
your
figured you
parlor
would.
trivia for next time.
Yeah, so I thought that was sort of
That's cool.
interesting. Anyway, electric horns that they have today. I never really knew how they worked. I just figured it was this loud sound. It's an electromagnet. Actually, there's a diaphragm, electromagnet on one side, a spring on the other, and when you push your horn button, it makes that diaphragm move very quickly, like hundreds of times per second. It makes a sound like a bell or whatever, and it gets amplified and so on and so forth. Air horns, we all know about air horns on trucks. It's compressed air moving through a system. Okay, now this car, as I said, we have 2 horns on it. They are not the correct horn. The real horn on this would have been a magneto powered one, an electric horn, and a button would be about right here on the steering column. Now, Kendra, our driver, if you have both hands on the wheel, you really can't touch that button,
It's
okay,
not easy.
without removing your hands from the said wheel.
Exactly. That's not safe.
Same with hitting this one or,
Yep.
or squeezing the bulb there, okay? So the idea back in 1919 was keep both hands on the wheel as they're preaching today, you know, no handheld anything, okay? So this gentleman, let me find his name here, Bud Jones. I think that was his real name.
Wow.
Invented something. The company, Jones Fisher Company out of Columbus, Ohio, manufactured this. Actually, Bud Jones also had ties with Westinghouse. He was, I guess, an electrical engineer, and he invented all these things and stuff. Anyway, he invents this horn operator thing. And I'll read it from the patent itself, okay? This attachment is designed to be applied to the finger of the wearer, whereby the switch forming a portion of the attachment may be readily closed to the sound, or to sound a warning without the necessity of the operator reaching to a distant point to either close a switch or operate the sounding mechanism directly. So in other words, you're going to have a little, it's like a thimble. You see an advertisement there, and it shows the wearer has a thimble on his forefinger. And that's what it'd be. That's how you operate the horn, instead of reaching all the way over here or all the way down here to beep the horn, or a button over here, okay?
Okay.
You think you could do that?
Sure.
If you had it, yep,
Sure.
okay. Let me continue. The switch itself is designed to be closed by slight pressure of the finger on the steering wheel. Therefore, it's always in reach. This arrangement must of necessity save some time in the operation of the sounding device, and while the amount of time saved may be very little, yet a small fraction of a second may be sufficient to prevent an accident. So there it was. They were thinking safety with this. Now, I could see this problem. You have your forefingers right there are on the steering wheel. So if you squeeze a little too tight, the horn's gonna go. Or better than that, the sounding device. That's what they called it, not the horn. Okay?
Not a horn.
And you're gonna see a picture on your screen there of the patent picture, and it shows kind of a cross section. I'm looking at it right here, and you can see there's a little switch underneath the index finger, which you put some pressure in. You could actually take both fingers with your thumb like this and make it go. It talked about the flexible silk-covered cord of sufficient length, so it permits movement of the hand in all directions. So if you want to wave at your neighbor, okay, I mean, wait, well, that's right, your hands are supposed to be on the steering wheel.
That's right, you should be safe.
But if you were at a stopped position
and
you wanted to wave to your neighbor, you could, because this flexible cord. So it could be disconnected. Also, they had a little disconnect plug on it, so you know, you could make your horn. It says to prevent unauthorized people from operating the sounding mechanism, such as your kids. Am I right?
Yeah, they'd probably try that.
Yep. Okay, so that's it. It cost $1.25 back in 1919. I was wondering what it costs today in 2018 dollars.
Yeah.
$14.92.
That's not bad.
No, it isn't. So you could go to Pep Boys or whatever they
Pick
had
one
back
up.
then. And I was also wondering, in one of the advertisements I saw of this, on the same page was an advertisement for a parts store. So they had auto parts store back then in 1919. And so you could go there and say, I want a JF portable horn button. That's what it was called. So, and that's it.
So if I'm looking at that drawing correctly, it hooks into the button that should be here.
It doesn't really hook. It could hook.
Clasped?
It could
No,
hook
it's a-
into it, or it could go
okay.
right to your horn. Now, here's
clasped.
another little factoid for
Yeah.
you. Okay, on this Ford, this is a 1916. Am I right? 15, 16. Okay.
Yeah, 15.
The horn would not even be mounted outside here. It'd be mounted on the firewall underneath here.
Oh.
This Model T, this is the first year for louvers in the hood. Now you think louvers in the hood are for cooling purposes, but not so. They did that so you could hear the horn. So without those louvers, it is said that you could barely hear the horn. So that's it.
Wow.
So
I like it.
yeah.
I like it. I like the idea of driving down the road with a little thimble with a wire coming out of it.
And
I like
beeping
it.
every time you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like magic.
Yeah, magic. So
Very cool.
so that's it. That's today's horn lesson.
All right. Well, we're in a Model T now,
Yeah.
but
Let's upgrade.
let's upgrade
Yeah.
to a Model A.
Model
What'd you
A.
say?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go do it. Meet you in the lobby.
All right. I'll see you there. I'll race you.
All right, well, this is really unique. Dan, you outdid yourself with your find this month.
Oh.
So we've got Darwin Schaefer and Don Schaefer, and we've got two great Model A's here and a whole bunch of cool artifacts. So I'm excited to hear about this. So Dan, how did you come across this setup, I guess? We'll start with
Well, we can go back prior to the setup. It was probably 15 years ago, maybe, at Dorrier Day. This vehicle behind me was at Dorrier, and I like the originality of it. It's a Model A sedan delivery, or is that what this is? Sedan delivery?
Deluxe delivery.
Deluxe delivery, okay. And Don at the time owned it, and I think I talked to you a minute or two or whatever about it.
Quite a bit more.
Was it? Okay. I said, don't change anything to it. And I remember you saying that a lot of people came up to you and did it. And then I think I saw you about a year later at a tractor show, and he had it hooked up with a radial saw. Kind of scary looking.
Sawbuck, yes.
Yeah, and I talked to him more there, and then I took pictures of this and so on and so forth. And I think it was a couple months ago that the Model A Club, a bunch of them were here, and I got talking to Darwin about being on show, and then I saw the truck again about a month ago at a show up in Trexlertown, yeah. And so that's it. So we have it here.
And it's not hooked up to a radial saw anymore.
No, it's a lot safer here. I guess unless you stick your arm in there.
Well, the belt is dangerous, but there's no need to be that close to it that it would affect you in any way.
So this truck here has some family history, and with the Schaefer family, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. It's a 1930, and it was purchased originally by a funeral home up in Lehighton. And my grandpa bought it 10 years later in 1940 from a used car dealer in Lehighton. And we have the original sales receipt for that and a lot of the memorabilia that goes along with owner's cards, driver's licenses, that kind of thing. And he kept the truck for 13 years and used it to deliver out of his store, which we have the original sign and a lot of the original store paraphernalia that went with it. And my uncle was able to purchase it at 15 years old in 1953. And
Your uncle being
is Don. And then he in turn had the truck for 60 years. And he had kind of lost interest in it, and I always had interest in it because it was stored at our house in Spring City for quite a few years when I was growing up, and I fell in love with it. So he suggested that we get it out of the barn and take it for a spin, and he sent it home with me, and it's been my love ever since.
So one of the neat things about this truck, I mean, the truck itself is just wonderful. But I like all this memorabilia,
Yeah.
from the store that you have. It kind of gives it I don't know, the interest factor is bigger. And, you know, so you don't really have to be a car nut or a truck nut to be interested in this vehicle, and it's this. And then this item right here next to me, you got to tell me about this. What is going on with this? I mean, we see this belt here, and what do we have?
Well, the belt drives what they call a corn sheller. Years back, they had a crank on it, and they would crank that. So it was a two-man operation, one person putting the corn into the hole in the top of it, and the other person had to keep cranking and cranking and cranking. Well, they come up with this idea of putting the flat belt pulley on the truck or car or whatever vehicle you had, and that would drive the sheller, and it was a one-man operation then, and you didn't have to crank and crank and crank all day. And the corn is here, and it's just a matter of sticking it in the top there, and corn comes out the side, the cobs come out this end, and that's the operation.
And the whole time you're hearing this wonderful sound of a Model A engine, which is like really neat.
Wonderful.
Now, Darwin, you told me about this pulley over here, where you found that, and
Uncle Don found that.
oh, you found
He
it.
gave me that with the truck, and I was running his sawbuck for a while.
Okay.
I went to an auction, and this item happened to be on the table there, and I got it for several dollars. Most people didn't know what it was or had no idea. Of course, I recognized it immediately, and I had my eye on it, and I bought it, and there it is.
And this was for putting on.
Absolutely, and it was
a
sold
vehicle
by
like this.
different, Sears Roebuck, I understand, sold one, and there were different ones that had them for different types of wheels.
Right,
The-
different lug patterns.
Yeah,
So-
lug pattern and so forth. And it just so happened that I was at the right place at the right
Yeah.
time, and
And nobody else knew what it was.
no, I got it real cheap.
Yeah. You know, I guess when you saw that, you know, you have to act not too excited, but,
Well, I would raise the price too much.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've all been to shows like
Yeah.
that, so,
I know you've got stuff here from the store too. I assume that's the store. There's a photo
Yeah.
here in the center.
That's the original store, and
The store was in Lehighton too, correct?
North Weissport, which is part of Lehighton. yes.
Okay. And I see a horse and buggy. Was this like the motorized upgrade then
Yes,
to this?
this was the original delivery vehicle that my grandpa had, and it even says A.J. Schaefer on the side of the
Oh,
wagon
wow.
there, so we know that's legit. And we even have the blinders from the horse. My dad kept everything.
wow.
That's
So,
amazing.
I didn't see them before.
Uncle Don had the truck, and my dad had kept all the other store sign, and
Okay.
we have the original beam scale hanging in the back there that my grandpa used. And some of the store displays, I have a cigar display there and a few other things, and I'm always looking for more that might have come from his store.
Do you look for stuff specifically from the store or the right era?
The right era
Yeah.
and the right products. He sold Atlantic Gas, so I was able to get some
gonna ask about
Atlantic
that, the
products, and
Atlantic.
I have maps here from 1930 I was able to get at a show.
Wow.
And they are Atlantic maps. So yeah, I'm always looking for something from both that era and the types of things that he sold, so.
How long was the store around, do you know?
They started it in 1917, converted their house to a store, and my grandpa passed away in '64, and my grandmom kept it open as much as she could till '70. So 17 to '70, it was still in
Wow.
operation, and then everything was auctioned off after they passed away. So we're fortunate to have what we do from the
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
So with this truck, you're keeping it as is, all original.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can see that, you know, the paint's not perfect. There's dents in it and such, and, you know, I guess they have a story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's just green paint here. Is that
And I
from you?
purchased the truck in, in 1954. And I was only 15 years old at the time, and it had no really value to it other than I wanted to get behind the wheel. And at one time, the marks on the other side is where I went off the road in the wintertime, slid off the road, and this happened before I took possession of the vehicle. I don't know what happened there, but it's a mark of time.
It's character.
Yeah, and I've seen that, you know, with other vehicles that are all original and been in the family for a long time, and you know, people have stories.
Oh, yes.
You know, I remember my dad did this, or you know, that kind of stuff, and neat stuff. So we've had, not we, but you've gotten awards for this truck recently, as in
Correct.
Gettysburg.
Yes.
And what was that award?
One of the guys in our club talked me into going out to the national meet in Gettysburg, and it was put under the fine point judging, which for an original vehicle, I had no idea what it would entail, and there were a few things had to be done to the truck to make it able to enter that category. And I did the few things that had to be done, and I never thought it would spend 8 to 10 hours in a tent and be fine point judged as much as it was. And I ended up getting a Mark of Originality award, which shows how much, you know, was kept original on the vehicle. And out of 500 points, it got 381 points, which I thought was fantastic. So they gave us a Mark of Originality award, which goes on the radiator, and it's much like a historic building. The way they mark those as a historic structure, and it's never to be changed from that state. So, yeah,
That's something to be proud of. Yeah, definitely.
Now, I was looking, you brought your club publication in, and it made the front cover of it.
yes, this just came out this week.
Right. And I was looking through it, and the pictures that they show, the detailed pictures, I mean, there's overall pictures, but the detail, and that goes along with what they're looking at when they judge
Right,
this.
exactly.
Because this is, I guess you could use the word, a template for how you would restore a Model A
Yes.
of this model to originality, you know?
The
And,
photographer that took all these pictures in the inset, they're real small, fine details of all the hardware. He was underneath, he was on a ladder and took pictures from the top for an hour and 10 minutes. That's all he did was take pictures. And he is the photographer for this magazine, and that's how this ended up on the cover. He said, this has to go on. He said, I restored one, and I made a lot of mistakes. He said, I wish I would have had this, just as you said, like a template.
yeah.
So that's why he wanted to get it out there so everybody knows they're still available, you know.
So it's really neat. It's a truck. So when you bring it to Dorrier Day, hint, hint, hint.
It's been there.
Okay.
I had it there 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, when you bring it back, you know, people will come and want to see it again, and you know, yeah, they'll want to crawl underneath now,
Right.
and check for the originality of, you know, rivets or whatever's under there. So.
Now, when he sold this to you, did he have another delivery, or did he stop doing delivery from the store? I mean, did
That
he
was the end of the
upgrade?
delivery service.
Okay.
Yes. And in fact, might have been 5 years or more at the truck sat idle,
Oh.
that we didn't really use it anymore. But I wasn't old enough to drive it, and he didn't want to be driving it anymore.
Yeah.
So it just sat in the garage, and then one day he said he was going to sell it. In fact, my mother told me that he had decided to sell it, and he had a buyer for it, an outside buyer, and of course, when I talked to him, he said, well, he said, I'm committed to this price. He said, so you will have to match it or do better, and it will stay here then, and which it did, and that's the way we worked it. Of course, I had my mother co-sign because I wasn't old enough to own it, and years later, well, it was all straightened out that she gave up her half of it, so to speak, and so it was mine, and I didn't really appreciate it until I got out of the service, out of the military 4 years later, and then I thought, ooh, this is nice, you know, I'm not going to lose this, I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah.
And of course, Darvin's brother, my dad, my brother, he helped me, and he stored it for me over the years, and that's where Darwin fell in love with it when he was just a little tyke, and he wound up getting it because of that fact that he loved the car just like I did, but I didn't. I got into farm tractors and I got away from it, so we pulled it back into the picture again. He pulled it back into the picture again when he started working on it and just doing little things on it that needed attention. So it had deteriorated from time.
Sure.
So you take it to a lot of shows, some shows, and, you know.
The weather's nice, I take it to quite a few shows,
Good.
yes.
Good. I
We're
like
in the
that.
Lehigh Valley Model A Club, and
Yep.
they're quite active, so
Yeah.
we try and do as much as we can with them.
And it drives, I mean, there's no outstanding things about it driving badly or making too much noise or smoke or anything?
No.
Everything runs? Okay.
Now, the club really did help us. When I first got it from Uncle Don, I didn't know the first thing about it. And we joined the club, and they said, we'll help you go over the front end. It was very loose, the steering, and the brake system needed repair. So, you know, the guys, we put it in a garage, and they helped us do the whole thing on 2 Saturdays, made it a work session for the club, and we were able to get it back
Wow.
on the road and
That's
safe.
cool.
So,
This vehicle only has around 50,000 miles on it, but I would say 90% of those miles that my dad put on it were on dirt roads. And that really
Sure.
took the,
Took its
That's
toll.
loosened it up.
yeah, that loosened it up, and that's why he had to have the front end gone over and put new bushings and bearings and whatever else into it. But he did a lot of work on it, and work that I didn't think needed done, but after they checked it out, why, it needed a lot of work. And
It's good you found a group that does that, will help you with that,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Right. So before we walk away from this, we do have to hear how it sounds and have this operating. Are you going to have this operating for
Yes.
us, this whole deal?
Yep, no
So we
problem.
can get that on camera, and so.
okay, what we're gonna do is drop the corn in the top of it.
Okay,
Wait till he starts the bell.
Starts
Go
spinning?
ahead, Darwin. Okay,
go ahead.
yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, this is addictive. I missed. My last one, I missed the bucket. This is all that's left of my first corn shelling experience.
Wow. Pretty exciting.
My
huh?
last one missed the bucket.
He did. Oh.
Did. Oh, well. So that was awesome. And we've got another Model A here, too. And this one is yours, right, Don?
This one is mine now. The
Okay.
story goes back to the point that I gave Darwin that Model A sedan delivery, which I was in love with. But I knew it would be in the family, so all the better, you know, and he would take good care of it. So at that point, he decided he's going to join the Model A club, so which he did. And of course, he went to the shows, and he would call me, "Are you going to go along with me to the show, or you want to?" And if it was Model A, I would still loved it enough to want to go. So of course, I went to these shows with him, and I had no Model A. He had it. It was his. So now what do I do? So Darwin and I looked on the internet, and of course he told me where this was located up in Syracuse, New York. And so we went up and looked at it. And I thought, well, this matches the panel truck, the sedan delivery. I need that. So we bought it and hauled it home. And we bought an enclosed trailer, put it in, and hauled it back down to Pottstown. And here it is. And it's all original. Of course, all the rust and everything goes with it. And I didn't have to purchase that separately. And I love it the way it is. And I did have 3 of these small ones back before I went in the military, coupes. So I did know what they were, and they were always my favorite, really. And when I saw this, being original, I had to have it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's housed at my house now, not at Darwin. He has his truck and I have mine. And we do go to the shows. We went over to the Frederick home. They had a car show there. And we're headed up to Kunkeltown, where my niece lives. The church that she goes to, they're having a car show. We're going to that. And we went to Trexlertown to the club's show this year. And we love them, we drive them, we use them, they're enjoyable.
How did you have to work on this one to get it running?
Yes, I did. Now they did quite a bit of work on it before I bought it. But everything that they didn't, the craftsmanship was not there. And I had to go over a lot of different things. And I really didn't know that much about Model A's, but we bought a book and it tells you how to do everything. And
Yeah.
I did know how to time them and all so forth, but the fine points, like the carburetor and that was above my ability to work on it. So I had a new carburetor rebuilt, and the generator went bad, so I had to do that. But when something like this sits for a number of years, which this did, they deteriorate, and
Yeah.
Everything dries up. The generator, the bearings were all dried up, and consequently they started making noise, so I had to do something with that. And the carburetor, of course, leaked fuel. But it's at the point now where it runs good, and as long as it starts, it works good.
It's good.
And this works.
Did you use your fingertip to do that?
I remember at Trexlertown again, and I was talking to Darwin about the truck, and you were there and stuff. And I guess I might have mentioned to you, Darwin, about bringing the truck for a TV show. And we're talking about this and this, and I think I asked you, oh, are you going to come along? Well, maybe, or something. And we're talking, and then I didn't know you had this car. And then you mentioned it, and I walked over, and I looked at it, and I came back, and I believe I said something to the effect, yes, you're going to be on the show. So here it is. And it's really, really neat. Yeah. And I like the real dark green colors. Yeah, it's kind of different, too.
Yeah, that's
It's
not
almost
too
black.
outstanding, though. It's
Yeah.
faded probably over the years to the point where it's not real deep green. When you get out in the sun, it shows up really good, but inside it doesn't. But it's still, hey, it's all original, and that's what I wanted. That's what I got. And,
That's what makes it neat.
but even something like the windshield wiper, for instance, the hose was all deteriorated, cracked. There was no sign that it was going to work. So of course I put all new hoses on it, and which run from the engine. It's a vacuum type of windshield wiper. Put new hoses on it, ran it up, and that still didn't do the job. So I had to tear the wiper motor apart. It's not really a motor, it's a vacuum motor. And I got it working, so we're in good shape there. And hopefully nothing else comes up so I can enjoy it more, that I don't have to do repair work on it. But anything this old, you have to figure that it's going to need some attention.
Yeah.
So
And how long have you had it?
I bought it in February.
Oh,
This
wow.
yeah, I just bought it because I got the fever back
You got-
again, and I had to have the Model A. But they're fun. They're really they're an eye catcher too. You go down the road and everybody's waving to you. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like they know you. And it's then of course when you blow the horn, then they really get all excited about it. It's something you can enjoy, but it does take work and it takes up a lot of room. You know, where you have to house it inside and keep it dry.
So now both of you belong to the Model A Club, and Darwin, you were talking about when you got the truck that you had some things, some issues there, and they helped you. So it's very beneficial joining a club that pertains to the vehicles that you have. And you know, you've been part of the Model A Club for quite a while, I guess.
About 3-4 years, I guess. now.
Okay.
And all the members in that club are experts just about on these vehicles. I mean, compared to the average person. Their expertise in different parts of it. Like one fellow, he might know the electrical system real good, and other guys the carburation, and and they're willing to help. You know, they anything they can do for you, they do, and that's what makes it so enjoyable when you have other people that you work with.
And they're probably, you know, they probably really enjoy helping you guys, but they probably like working on the original vehicles too.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
these
sure.
are not restored, and, you know, so.
I don't know that we have too many in the club that are original, at least 3 of them that I know, these 2 and
Herbst.
Herb Hassel. Oh, and Brent, yeah,
Brent's got
that's 4, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few.
The number is rising every day because people are appreciating, you know, what they look like after so many years. You know,
Right,
to
right.
see that they held up so well.
The ironic part is the MARC club that we belong to stands for Model A Restorers Club. But now they're leaning more toward the unrestored vehicles.
Right,
And
yeah.
Yeah.
that's why they're putting them on as the cover articles and trying to get more interest in the unrestored.
Yeah.
Yeah, preserving once you change it, it's
Change forever.
changed. So,
Sounds like a Model A out there.
it could be.
Well, okay.
These are neat.
Yeah.
And
thanks for
the
bringing them.
family connection. We always say when you get a good story behind them,
Yeah.
it makes it
Well,
even
it's
more.
the family connection to the truck, you know, the grandparents and stuff, but it's also the family connection between these
Yep.
2 gentlemen too.
Yeah.
And that's really neat.
Yeah.
how They both enjoy doing this. So,
Yep.
So everyone has to keep their eyes open for you at some shows around here. Maybe they'll hear you.
yeah.
The only thing, we don't take them out in the rain.
Yeah,
If
well,
it's
I
raining.
don't blame you there. I don't blame you at all. You've got some really neat stuff that I wouldn't want hurt by the rain. So, yeah. What did we forget?
I don't know. I think we covered everything.
Great look at these cars.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
bringing them.
Thanks.
And
You're
for
welcome.
setting all this up. I know you guys took some time on that. It looks great. It looks great. So, thanks. Well, we're back here in the diner. It's time for our wrap-up segment because I want to know.
And we're dining too.
We are dining
On
on.
sweet potato chips.
You know, I would just like to say that everyone here last week kind of ragged on me for my love of last month for my love of sweet potato chips. You found a really good brand.
Oh yeah, nothing but the best.
It's made in Lake Success, New York. Isn't that just?
And you know, and I went all over New York State looking for them. I couldn't find any.
You
And
go to
ended
Lake
up in
Suc-
Boyertown. I bought them.
There you go.
I went to the wrong town.
Is that where you've been lately? Lake
It's
Success?
the only town I didn't go in was Lake Success in New York State.
Darn.
Okay, so where have I been lately,
Yeah,
you
where
asked?
have you been
Okay.
lately?
Now, the rules here are for the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, there's rules?
So New York, I couldn't do it, although I did see some pretty cool stuff.
I think you should be allowed to bend the rules. Rules are made to be broken.
Went to the Wizard of Oz Museum. in New York, so we're not talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Also saw the gravesite of the guy who wrote the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh,
And it was interesting because I stopped my car, I got out of my car, and the Navy song started, Anchors Aweigh,
Yes.
starts playing. I'm thinking, where'd this come from? That was interesting.
well,
But
bizarre.
anyway, yeah, but that was in New York too. So anyway, what I'm going to be talking about, it goes back several years. So this isn't really something I've been to recently.
Oh,
But I've
that's
driven
all right.
past it since then. But it's something that's interesting, and I think our viewers might be interested in this. And it all started out, there was 3 of us from the museum. There's Kendra and me and our facilities manager, Joe, right? Is that what
Yeah.
it is? And we went out to Ligonier,
yes,
Pennsylvania.
we
Okay,
did.
remember that?
Oh, fondly.
That was a long day. But anyway, we drove all the way out there and back the same day. And that's right after we got this museum here, or this diner in our museum. And the Lincoln Highway Heritage Association or something
Something like that, yep.
Yeah, they also had a diner, same year and same brand, Jerry O'Mahony from 1938, but it wasn't quite the same style. But anyway, we went to see theirs and kind of take some notes and pictures and stuff.
Yeah, we were working on things we had to restore in here, and theirs was they had a lot more work to do than we
yeah,
did.
a lot more.
Theirs was the slimmer model.
Yes, it was slimmer, and in fact, they did not have tables here. They just had some tables at the
Yep.
end, I believe. Anyway, we're going, and I saw a historical marker on Route 30, Lincoln Highway, and we just kind of blew by that. I said, hey, did I see that right? So when we got to the Lincoln Highway people's office, I asked about it, and they said, oh yeah, that was it. And I am going to read you this historical marker here. I have a picture of it. You can see it on your screen there. I'm going to read you the inscription. It says, Frederick S. Duesenberg, 1878 to 1932. Near this site on July 2nd, 1932, the builder of Duesenberg luxury automobiles was seriously injured when his supercharged Model J crashed into the mountainside. He died July 26th at Memorial Hospital in Johnstown. So Frederick Duesenberg, one of the Duesenberg brothers,
Wow.
has died close to that spot.
Wow.
And, I went online and the Google Maps and stuff, and you can see where Route 30 is, but there's another older section of Route 30 nearby, and it could have been there. Who knows? That's not pinpoint. So again, this is on the Lincoln Highway on Route 30 near Jennerstown, which is in Somerset County. So there you go. Now, Frederick Duesenberg, I have to tell you about him. Actually, it's, I guess, Friedrich Simon Duesenberg, born on December 6th, 1876 in Lippe, Germany. I think L-I-P-P-E. Did I say that right?
L-I-P-P-E.
Yeah.
Lippa?
Okay, I'm Norwegian. They didn't teach us this. Anyway, he came to the United States with his family when he was 8. They settled in Rockford, Iowa. And in the 1890s, with his brother August, they began building motorcycles. And I think there was a lot of that going on back then. Late 1800s.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Everybody was experimenting
Yeah.
with this. 1906, with money from Edward Mason, a lawyer, local lawyer, they started building cars. Somewhere in there's a gentleman bought 60% of the company. Guy's name, Fred Maytag, of Maytag washing machine fame. Okay.
Wow.
1913, brothers founded Duesenberg Automobile and Motors Company out of St. Paul, Minnesota. So they moved up there. but they really weren't building cars for public consumption or civilian use. They built engines and racing cars.
Okay.
1919, they moved to Indianapolis. In 1921, Duesenberg was the first United States car to win at Le Mans. And 1921 through 27, they built their Model A, which was a luxury car. Now they are building street cars here, and I've seen a few of them. They're very nice cars.
Yeah.
I think we should get one of them.
Ooh, that
We
would
have to
look sharp, wouldn't it?
We need a Pennsylvania
connection here.
connection here somehow.
Well, the one died in Pennsylvania. No.
Good enough.
close.
Good enough. We'll start looking. Okay. 1926, in the middle of the Model A part, E.L. Cord buys Duesenberg. So the Cord automobile connected with Duesenberg there. 1926 and 27, they had a Model X. In 1928 through 1937, they had the models J, SJ, SSJ, SN, and SJN. Okay, that's a bunch of letters there.
Yeah.
But it was the Model J is what everybody thinks of when they think of Duesenberg. That was like
Top of the line.
top of the line as far as this country, maybe the whole world. Very fast car, and so on and so forth. And it was a J model that Fred Duesenberg died in when he crashed in
Okay.
Pennsylvania. So 1932 is when he died, which is in the middle of that model run. So how did he die? It was a wet highway, too fast on a curve, and he was in one of these cars. You'll see a picture of one of these cars. This is a Model J. Now they also had the Model SJ, which is a supercharged model, and this is not. This is just the regular J. This picture actually is a Hershey, of course.
Of course.
Way you can tell, there's people in the background.
There you go.
It's not raining.
It's
but
not
there's
raining,
people
but there's
there.
people.
And so that's kind of where I've been. I saw this historical marker and kind of looked it up. And there is a site online, maybe you know about this. It's like historicalmarkers.com and all sorts of historical
Ooh, I bet there's
markers.
some neat stuff on there.
Oh, there is.
It's a black hole, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, like in Boyertown, do we have 4 or 5
Yeah.
historical markers
Yeah.
here in town?
That sounds about
And
right.
so you can go and they give you the coordinates and everything.
Oh, cool.
You go, boop, there it is.
It's funny because I was, as you said in the beginning, on the same trip as you, and I didn't even notice that sign.
No. Well, I was probably I was bored. You were excited.
We were going pretty fast too.
We were. If I remember, I was sitting in the back seat, so I was watching.
But I mean, I think it goes to show you can go buy something and not even notice it, and go buy it again.
And for those of you who do not know where Jennerstown, Pennsylvania is, it's very close to where the plane went down. Great. Forgot the name of the town.
9/11. What
Yeah.
was the name of it?
Starts with an S. So anyway.
As soon as we cut, we'll
Yeah.
remember what it was called.
Okay.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you, studio.
An audience member realized it.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
cool.
So that's where I've been, and I see we got about 2
Very
or 3
cool.
minutes left.
Awesome. Good. Car related. I like it. I like it. I think we had a good night here tonight.
Oh, excellent night.
Oh yeah. And now we
Sweet
got sweet
potato
potato chips. So I'm ready to wrap it up so I can dig into this bag.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody at home, thank you for joining us. Hope we see you at Food Truck Fair on June 30th. If not, come visit us this summer. We've got lots of cool stuff going on here at the museum. And we'll be back in July and find another cool guest to talk to us. So.
And it's your turn to find a place to go visit.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
Oh, it is.
I've already
Oh, it
started
is.
working on it, and it's not developing into the story I thought it would be.
Yeah,
So
make something up.
it'll be good. So we will see you all in July.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes.